Jefferson County Court at Law number 2 is back in session. We in session in 3 cases. First case is cause number 330-360. Second case is cause number 330-362. Third case is cause number 330-364. All 3 cases are styled the state of Texas versus Colin Keith Eller. Mr. Eller, is that your full name?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Eller, would you please raise your right hand? Mr. Eller, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you God? Mr. Eller, you may put your hand down. How are you doing, Mr. Eller?
All right.
That's good, Mr. Eller. You're here represented by your attorney Frank Adams. Attorney Adams, how are you doing?
Doing fine, yeah.
That's good. Mr. Eller, I have before me a document that has been filed by the district attorney's office. This document is titled Information. This information alleges in cause number 330-360 that on or about August 3rd of 2021, while you were in Jefferson County, Texas, that you committed the Class A misdemeanor offense of discharge of firearm in certain municipalities. Mr. Eller, do you understand what you have been charged with?
I do.
And to this charge, Mr. Eller, how do you plead? Guilty, not guilty, or no contest?
No contest.
Now, are you pleading no contest freely and voluntarily?
Yes, sir.
And are you pleading no contest because you do not wish to charge, you do not wish to fight or contest the charges?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Eller, I have before me a document that is titled misdemeanor plea admonishment, is also labeled as State's Exhibit number 1. Mr. Eller, do you recognize this document?
Okay, yes, sir.
On page 2 of this same document, Mr. Eller, there are a set of initials on a line next to a box that's checked NOLA contingent. Mr. Eller, can you place your initials on this document?
I did.
On page 3 of the same document, Mr. Eller, there is a signature above the line that is titled defendant. Is that your signature?
Yes, sir.
On the next document, which is titled Trial Court Certification of Defendant's Right of Appeal, there is a signature above the line that's titled defendant. Is that your signature?
That is.
There's one box that's checked at the top of this document. That box states that this is a plea bargain case and you have no right of appeal. Do you understand that?
Yes.
I have another document before me. This document is titled Discovery Certification. Do you recognize this document?
Yes, sir.
And is this your signature on the line that's titled defendant?
Yes.
Now, Mr. Eller, before you signed and initialed these documents that I have just mentioned to you, did your attorney, Mr. Adams, go over these documents with you?
Yes, sir.
And did you read and understand everything in these documents?
Yes, sir.
And is everything in these documents true and correct to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Eller, are you a citizen of the United States?
I am.
State, I have before me State's Exhibits number 1 and 2. State, you like to offer State's Exhibits number 1 and 2?
Yes, Your Honor.
No objection, Your Honor.
No objections? State's Exhibits number 1 and 2 are admitted. Mr. Adams, you've advised and counseled Mr. Eller.
Yes.
Is there any evidence that he is currently mentally incompetent to stand trial?
None that I'm aware of. Part of our plea bargain, he's gonna get an evaluation at HMR, but I think it's fine today.
Okay. Now, when you say he's gonna get an evaluation, is that anything related to him being mentally incompetent to stand trial?
No, sir.
Okay.
No, it's not related.
Now, Mr. Eller, you understand why you're here? You understand what you've been charged with?
Yes.
Have you been able to, do you understand the consequences of your plea?
Yes, sir.
And you've been able to discuss this case with your attorney, and you have been able to engage in strategies with your attorney. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Now, Mr. Eller, you have been advised and counseled by your attorney, Mr. Adams. Are you satisfied with his representation?
Yes, sir.
Has he provided full, effective, and competent legal representation? Mr. Eller, I will accept your plea of no contest. I will find that you are mentally competent to stand trial. I will also find that your plea and waivers are freely and voluntarily given. I will also find that there is sufficient evidence to find you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. State, do we have a plea bargain agreement?
We do, Your Honor.
And what is that agreement?
Your Honor, the agreement in case number 330360 is for 15 months of deferred probation, a $500 fine, 30 hours of community service, and Mr. Eller is to report to Spindletop for evaluation and follow any recommendations Spindletop may have. Additionally, the state will dismiss case number 330364 in exchange for the plea on this case. And the case will dismiss case number 330362 in exchange for Mr. Eller's agreement to forfeit the weapon at issue in that case to the Beaumont Police Department.
Okay, Mr. Eller, the state is offering that you serve 15 months that you serve 15 months on deferred adjudicated probation. During the 15-month probationary period, you'll be required to pay a fine of $500 plus court costs of $352, which comes to a total of fine and court costs of $852. You'll be required to pay a probation fee of $60 each month, a urinalysis fee of $15 each month. Your total monthly installments, that is the total amount that you will be required to pay each month while you are on probation, is $140 a month. Mr. Eller, will you be able to pay the $140 each month? You will also be required to perform 30 hours of community service, report for evaluation to Spindletop and follow recommendations. State will be dismissing cause number 330362 and cause number 330364. You will also be required to adhere to the other standard terms and conditions of probation, of this probation. Now, Mr. Eller, do you understand the state's offer?
Yes, sir.
And do you think that the state's offer in your case is fair and just?
Yes.
And do you accept the state's offer?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Eller, Mr. Eller, I'll defer a finding of guilt and place you on deferred adjudicated probation with the agreement that you have made with the state. Now, Mr. Eller, if you successfully complete your deferred probation, this case will be dismissed. It will not result in a conviction on your record, and you may qualify for non-disclosure, and you can talk to your attorney about the non-disclosure because he's quite competent in those matters. Mr. Eller, in cause number 330362, I have before me a motion to forfeit. Mr. Eller, do you recognize this motion?
Yes, sir.
And is this your signature on the line that's titled defendant?
It is.
Now, Mr. Eller, before you sign this document, did your attorney, Mr. Adams, go over this document with you?
Yes, sir.
And did you read and understand everything in this document?
Yes, sir.
And is everything in this document true and correct to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Eller, I will grant the state's motion to forfeit the weapon in this case to the Beaumont Police Department. And as stated earlier, Mr. Eller, this case, cause number 330362, along with cause number 330364 will be dismissed. Mr. Eller, you're gonna stand on the X next to your attorney follow the directions of our clerk. And once you finish following her directions, you'll be free to go. And you have a blessed day, and I'm signing the dismissals in those other two cases as well. You're welcome. Yeah, right there.
Put your right thumb in the blue square. Yeah, try it again. One more. And also, if you'll sign this blank box right there in front of you. Adam?
Yeah.
And would you raise your right hand? You swear that you've never before been given deferred education or regular probation for a felony or misdemeanor in this or any other state except for what's listed here? And you further swear anything else is pending except for what's listed here, which is being dismissed.
Yes.
So the directions to probation are on the top. Then here are your documents right here. And you
Yes.
need to go here this morning.
And you have she has your two dismissals.
Thank you.
Rojas is on Zoom now.
Okay, we gotta get a prosecutor. Is this client in? Once you get his client. We're gonna do, Castellano. Court is in session in cause number 330520. The case is styled, the state of Texas versus Eileen Castellan. We have Ms. Castellan appearing in court, and Ms. Castellan's attorney, Mr. Charlie Rojas, is appearing via Zoom. Mr. Rojas, how are you doing?
Doing well, Judge. Thank you.
That's good. And Ms. Castellan, how are you doing?
Good thing.
Ms. Castellan, would you please raise your right hand? Ms. Castellan, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you may put your hand down. Okay. Ms. Castellan, I have before me a document that is titled Information. This document was filed by the Jefferson County District Attorney's Office. This document alleges that on or about April 29th of 2021, while you were in Jefferson County, Texas, that you committed the Class A misdemeanor offense of driving while intoxicated with an alcohol concentration level of 0.15 or more. Ms. Castellan, do you understand what you have been charged with?
Yes, sir.
And to this charge, Ms. Castellan, how do you plead? Guilty, not guilty, or no contest?
Guilty.
Now, are you pleading guilty freely and voluntarily?
Yes, sir.
And are you pleading guilty because you are guilty?
Yes, sir.
Ms. Castellan, I have before me State's Exhibit Number 1, the misdemeanor plea admonishment. Do you recognize this document?
Yes, sir.
On page 2 of this same document, Ms. Castellan, there are a set of initials, EL on or EC on a line that is checked guilty. Did you place your initials on this document?
Yes, sir.
On page 3 of the same document, Ms. Costello, there's a signature above the line that's titled defendant. Is that your signature?
Yes, sir.
And on the next document, which is titled trial court certification, the defendant's right of appeal, do you recognize this document? And is this your signature above the line that's titled defendant?
Yes, sir.
And at the top of this document, there are 2 boxes that are checked. The first box that's checked states that this is a plea bargain case and you have no right of appeal. Do you understand that?
Yes.
The second box that's checked states that you're waiving your right to an appeal, which means you're giving up your right to an appeal. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
And Ms. Costello, I also have before me a document that is titled Discovery Certification. Do you recognize this document?
Yes, sir.
And is this your signature on the line that's titled Defendant?
Yes, sir.
Now, Ms. Costello, before you signed and initialed all of these documents that I've just mentioned to you, did your attorney, Mr. Rojas, go over these documents with you?
Yes, sir.
And did you read and understand everything in these documents?
Yes, sir.
And is everything in these documents true and correct to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, sir.
Ms. Costello, are you a U.S. citizen?
Yes, sir.
State, I have before me State's Exhibit number 1. State, you like to offer States 1?
Yes, Your Honor.
Any objection, Mr. Rojas?
No objection, Your Honor.
No objection, State's Exhibit number 1 will be admitted. Mr. Rojas, you have advised and counseled Ms. Costello. Is there any evidence that she is currently mentally incompetent to stand trial?
No, Your Honor.
Ms. Costello, your attorney, Mr. Rojas, has advised and counseled you. Are you satisfied with his representation?
Yes, sir.
Has he provided full, effective, and competent legal representation?
Yes, sir.
Ms. Costello, I will accept your plea of guilty. I will find that you are mentally competent to stand trial. I will also find that your plea and waivers were freely and voluntarily given. And I will also find that there is sufficient evidence to find you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. State, do we have a plea bargain agreement?
We do, Judge.
And what is that agreement?
Your Honor, the agreement is for 180 days in jail, probated over a term of 1 year. A $1,000 fine, 60 hours of community service, DWI education classes, alcohol assessments, and interlock device.
Okay, Ms. Costello, the state is offering that you serve 180 days in the Jefferson County Jail. However, you will not have to serve any time in the Jefferson County Jail because you'll be placed on probation for 1 year. During the 1 year probationary period, you'll be required to pay a fine of $1,000 plus court costs of $422, which comes to a total of fine and court costs of $1,422. You will also be required to pay $60 a month probation fee, $15 a month and a urinalysis fee. You will be required to pay Jefferson County DWI education class and initial evaluation fee of $125 on the day of the plea. Should a further evaluation be needed, you'll be required to pay an additional $50. Now, your total monthly installments, that is the total amount that you will be required to pay each month while you are on probation, is $205. Ms. Castellan, will you be able to pay the $205 each month?
Yes, sir.
You will also be required to perform 60 hours of community service, attend and complete a DWI education class, have a drug and alcohol assessment, install a DWI interlock device on any vehicle that you own or operate, and you will also be required to adhere to the other standard terms and conditions of this probation. Ms. Castellan, do you understand the state's offer?
Yes, sir.
And do you think that the state's offer in your case is fair and just?
Yes.
And do you accept the state's offer?
Yes, sir.
Ms. Castellan, I'll follow the plea bargain agreement that you have entered into with the state. Ms. Castellan, you're gonna stand over here in front of our court clerk, follow her directions, and once you finish following her directions, you'll be free to go, and you have a blessed day. Thank you. And Mr. Rojas, I think this is your only case. Is it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, hold on a minute. I thought I saw you there. Okay, Mr. Rojas, this is your only case. You're free to go and you have a blessed day.
Thank you, Judge. You too.
All right, drive safe.
Thank you.
All right. Okay. Jefferson County Court of Law is back in session in two cases. Cause number 330770, cause number 330772. Both cases are styled the state of Texas versus Larry Craig Childress. Mr. Childress, is that your full name?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Childress, would you please raise your right hand? Mr. Childress, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you God?
Yes, sir.
Mr.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, Mr. Childress, you may put your hand down. How are you doing, Mr. Childress?
Thank you.
I'm doing fine. Thanks for asking. Mr. Childress, you're here represented by your attorney, Attorney Craig Scheck-Snyder. Attorney Scheck-Snyder, how are you doing?
Good, Judge.
That's good. Mr. Scheck-Snyder, are you waiving any potential conflicts of interest? In this case, you're not,
No objection.
and you're not requesting no special prosecutor or anything in this, okay? And state, are you waiving any potential conflicts of interest that I may have?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, okay, now, Mr. Childress, in cause number 330772, I have before me an information that alleges that on or about August 28th of 2021, while you were in Jefferson County, Texas, that you committed the Class A misdemeanor offense of assault. Mr. Childress, do you understand what you have been charged with?
Yes, Your Honor.
And to discharge Mr. Childress, how do you plead? Guilty, not guilty, or no contest?
No contest.
Now, are you pleading no contest freely and voluntarily?
Yes, Your Honor.
And are you pleading no contest because you do not wish to fight or contest the charges?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, now, Mr. Childress, I have before me a document that is titled misdemeanor plea admonishment. Do you recognize this document?
Yes, I do.
On page 2 of the same document, Mr. Childress, there are a set of initials LCC on a line next to a box that says check no contingent, which means no contest. Did you place your initials on this document?
Yes, I do.
And on the third page of the same document, there is a signature above the line that's titled defendant. Is that your signature?
Yes, Your Honor.
On the next page, on the next document, which is titled trial court certification of defendant's right of appeal, do you recognize this document?
Yes, Your Honor.
And is that your signature on the line that's titled
Yes, it
defendant?
is.
There are two boxes that are checked at the top of this document. The first box says check states that this is a plea bargain case and you have no right of appeal. Do you understand that?
Yes, I
The
do.
second box states that you're waiving your right to an appeal, which means you're giving up your right to an appeal. Do you understand that?
Yes, I do.
I have another document before me, Mr. Childress, that is titled Discovery Certification. Do you recognize this document?
Yes, I do.
And is this your signature above the line that's titled defendant?
Yes, Your
Now,
Honor.
Mr. Childress, before you signed and initialed all of these documents that I have just mentioned to you, did your attorney, Mr. Schechtsteiner, go over these documents with you?
Yes, Your Honor.
And did you read and understand everything in these documents?
Yes, sir, I did.
And is everything in these documents true and correct to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, Your Honor.
State, I have before me State's Exhibit number 1. State, you like to offer State's 1
Yes, Your Honor.
and State's Exhibit number 2?
Yes, Your Honor.
Any objections?
No objection.
No objections. States 1 and 2 are admitted. Mr. Childress, are you a citizen of the United States?
Yes, Your Honor.
And Mr. Childress, your attorney, Mr. Schechtsteiner, has advised and counseled you. Are you satisfied with his representation?
Yes, Your Honor.
Has he provided full, effective, and competent legal representation?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Schechtsteiner, you have advised and counseled Mr. Childress. Is there any evidence that he is currently mentally incompetent to stand trial?
No, sir.
Mr. Childress, I will accept your plea of no contest. I will find that you are mentally competent to stand trial. I will also find that your plea and waivers were freely and voluntarily given. I will also find that there is sufficient evidence to find you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. State, do we have a plea bargain agreement?
We do, Your Honor.
And what is that agreement?
Your Honor, the agreement in case number 330772 is for 6 months of deferred probation, 24 hours of community service, and the defendant's participation in the Alcoholics Anonymous program as directed by the probation office.
Is there a fine?
No, Your Honor.
No fine?
No.
And are you dismissing clause number 330770?
Yes, Your Honor. In consideration for the plea in this case.
Okay, Mr. Childress, I have before me the state's offer. The state is offering that you serve 6 months deferred adjudicated probation. During this 6-month probationary period, you'll be required to pay a court cost of $352. You'll also be required to pay a probation fee of $60 each month, a urinalysis fee of $15 each month. Your total monthly installments, that is, the total amount that you'll be required, the total amount that you will be required to pay each month while you're on probation is $145. Will you be able to pay the $145 each month?
Yes, sir.
You will also be required to perform 24 hours of community service. As I stated earlier, the state is waiving your fine. And cause number 330770 will be dismissed. You will attend and complete the Alcoholic Anonymous program. And you will also be required to adhere to the standard terms and conditions of this probation. Mr. Childers, do you understand the state's offer?
Yes, Your Honor.
And do you think that the state's offer in your case is fair and just?
Yes, Your Honor.
And do you accept the state's offer?
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, Mr. Childress, I'll follow the plea bargain agreement. I'll defer finding of guilt and place you on probation in accordance with the agreement that you have made with the district attorney's office. Mr. Childress, if you successfully complete the probationary period, this case will be dismissed. It would not appear on your record as a conviction, and you may qualify for non-disclosure. And you can talk to your attorney about the non-disclosure because he's quite competent in those matters. And Mr. Childress, first of all, we'd like to commend you for taking responsibilities for participating in the AA program. We understand that the road to recovery is not a sprint, it's a marathon. If you know anything between a sprint and a marathon is a longer race. You may get tired along the way, but I can assure you that you have support. You have some people that you can lean on while you're on your journeys to living a sober life. And so if you ever get tired along the way, make sure you contact those individuals who's in the program. I think you'll have a sponsor. They'll be able to help you out with that. And we'll be praying for you that you reach your sober goals, the goals that you have, and stay sober, okay?
Yes, Your Honor.
And Mr. Childress, you're gonna stand on the X next to your attorney, Mr. Scheck-Snyder. You're gonna follow the directions of our court clerk. Once you finish following her directions, you'll be free to go, and you have a blessed day.
Thank you, sir.
And Mr. Scheck-Snyder, yeah, good seeing you. You'll be free to go as well, and you have a blessed day. And also, I'm signing the dismissals on those cases, so he'll get the dismissal before he leaves.
Yeah, put your right hand on the blue square.
Okay, thank you.